You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
No player has ever said, quote, I'm going to do what's best for me and then re-signed in Edmonton. Except for when Leon Draisaitl did it last year. Let's get into it with the lead. The only people who are thinking Connor McDavid is sending some sort of subliminal message are just people from outside of Edmonton who don't like Edmonton.
Podcasters.
I keep hearing people being like, well, that had to send a shiver up the spine of Oilers fans. And it's like, no, we're good.
If you actually listen to any Oilers media yesterday, I listened to a few, admittedly. I was curious what other people thought. I listened to Bob a little bit, and he was just like, yeah, he just wants to know what the plan is, which is fair enough. He's going to hopefully commit here for a while, and why would you not? It's like when you go to any job and you have a contract situation and you're in a higher position, it's like, hey, like, what's the plan?
Yeah.
And they're going to be, we're going to try and win the Stanley Cup every year that you're here. And they
Cool.
go, okay, that's what I would love to do.
And like there might even be a little bit, and we'll get into the Bowman stuff, where it might be like, hey, we're going to like try get younger while staying competitive. And like, here are the type of trades I think we can make, like whatever. Anyways, welcome into Oilers Nation Every Day. We are live from the Sports Closet studio. From jerseys to hats to the legendary foam finger, you'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. We are also a presentation of Bet365. Download the app. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. I think, again, I did radio today in Vancouver, and they were like, so how are Oilers fans like handling that? I'm like, oh, what? handling what? Connor McDavid's year-end press conference that went exactly as predicted?
There was one line in there, and I saw a few people being like, and they're right, he didn't come out and be like, I love being an Oiler, like, I want to be here, yada, yada, yada. Where other players have. Like, basically every other player that talked just today, which I think was just Bouchard, Perry, Frederick, all very different situations because they're all penned in RFAs, UFAs, came out and was like, I would love to stay here, I want to be here.
Yeah.
McDavid's in a different spot to that, but one thing that was like glossed over a little bit is he said, if I know that the plan is how I want it to be, paraphrasing a little bit, is I have no problem staying.
Yeah.
And no one seems to want to talk about that line. It's just him being like, whatever it was. What was the actual line? With that being said, I want to talk to my family and see what's best. He lost the Stanley Cup Final 2 days ago before that interview.
Yep.
And probably hadn't really talked about much with Bowman. I doubt him and Bowman have actually had like legit conversations where they've sat down and kind of hashed a few things out. Because that's what Bowman kind of spoke about a little bit today too.
How do I get to my bookmarks on Twitter?
If you go to Twitter, go to more. Oh, it used to be that. No.
No,
on the left. Yeah, they go
cool.
Bookmarks, just on the rock.
These are just some of the people I'm going to be dunking on when Connor McDavid signs his extension. We got our friend John Buccigross, who I very much like, who just quote tweeted something about the LA Kings wanting to spend big with a gif of McDavid. I got that one saved. We got Sam McKee from Sportsnet in Toronto.
Oh, Sammy boy.
As anyone in Toronto, a Leafs fan working in media in Toronto, wants to buy into conspiracies about McDavid. He said, quote, that being said, 3 words that could haunt Oilers fans for a long time. Ooh.
I didn't think about it. There was one, I didn't listen to the full clip because I don't like listening to that stuff because I'm an Oilers homer and I want McDavid to stay here forever and I want his kids to play here. Adam Wilder?
Adam Wild. Yep.
He had a quote yesterday, and this was something that happens in basketball a lot of being like, and he specifically was talking about Toronto, but I'll put it in like a full league context. It's like, I wonder how teams will approach the offseason knowing that like it is a possibility. And like a lot of people did it a few years ago in basketball with Giannis, I think it was, right, Aaron?
Yeah, but like Aaron that was like a legitimate like, oh, there's a real chance Giannis leaves Milwaukee.
Yeah, I would say the chance of McDavid leaving 5% of the most, and that seems incredibly high.
Greg Wyshynski said, his tweet was, with that being said, heard round the world.
Round the world?
Yeah.
Come on. No one watches the NHL in Estonia.
No.
Not around the world,
Sid
Greg.
Seixeiro.
Sid is in.
Sid's in. Always good for a banger. Said, I know Connor McDavid is probably re-signing in Edmonton. I know that. Okay, you're off to a hot start, Sid.
End tweet.
But still, considering his former agent is team president and considering his former junior coach is behind the bench, I was very surprised how open-ended this comment was. But, like, it wasn't?
No, it wasn't. He just said he wants to win. And the others have been to back-to-back cup finals and have won a lot of hockey games.
That's the smartest thing Sid Sixero's ever said.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty tame.
I mean, like, he gave a lot of people stuff to chew on. But also he can't just sit there and be like, I'm in no matter what. He has to make a little bit out of this for himself. It is his money at the end of the day, and he needs to benefit from it. And I respect that. I also respect the fact he ain't signing on July 1st. They never do. Aaron, if you have a minute, go back and look and see it. Like, just when superstars sign, like Austin Matthews, Pasternak, guys like that, when they sign their contracts with the team. Because I would be shocked. And if anyone knows a superstar player who signed an extension on July 1st, or very close to, just let me know. Because I can't think of one. It's just not how this shit works. Because in, like, a weird way, they're not a priority on July 1st. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you almost need to let July 1st happen in a week or so after, and then you go to McDavid or insert superstar player and be like, hey, we got player A, player B, player C. And look how great our team is going to be now for the next 5 years with you leading the way.
Yeah. Aiden says you can't pull a Sam Bennett and completely sewer your leverage for a new contract. Whoa.
Trying to type something.
Live action shot of Aaron working hard. Let's keep this kind of conversation going. I want to get to our sounds in the room, which are brought to you by Tourism. No, they're not brought to you by Tourism. They're brought to you by
Tourism, period.
Just tourism. Just go be a tourist.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, they're brought to you by Crappy Goat Distillery. That's my bad, everybody. Not your average moonshine. This is sweet, smooth, and dangerously sippable, handcrafted and flavor-packed in bold styles like lemon meringue pie, sour fuzz and peach, cafe latte cream, and orange creamsicle. I went golfing last night. It ended up being a beautiful night.
It did.
I had a little Mickey of the orange creamsicle tucked in my golf bag for my birdies. Got to sip it twice. That's good living. It was delicious after a hard-earned birdie.
Yeah, I don't bring birdie juices. No need.
You got to get in shape for the bachelor party where we will be sipping some moonshine.
I've been once this year. I've been thinking about that. I'm going to have to go.
Go come with me tomorrow.
I can't have to sit in the house for...
They'll leave the fucking couch on the driveway. Fun, cheeky, and totally different from the harsh stuff your uncle used to hide in the garage. Small batch, premium crafted. Drink it how you like it. CrappyGoat.com. Let's just give the people... Let's just play it once so that it's on the show and we can say we did it. Connor McDavid talking about his extension.
What do you want to kind of drill down on as you make a decision here on a contract extension and the thought of possibly staying here for a while?
Winning would be at the top of the list, and then winning would be it's the most important thing. If I feel that there's a good window to win here over and over again, then signing is no problem. I again, it's only been a couple of days. I'm sure we'll get into it over the course of the next couple of weeks. But again, I'm not in a rush to make any decision, so I don't think that there needs to be any timeline. I know people are going to look at that July 1 day and be looking to see if there's anything done. But for me, I'm just not in a rush that way. So.
And again, people want to take that however they want to take it. They want it to be like, oh, he's not committing. He's not saying he's excited. No, it's Connor McDavid. He hates this shit. He's literally sitting there being like, we'll get it done when it gets done. I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And why should he be?
Also, again, what is the negotiation with Connor McDavid? It's going, Connor, how much do you want? Because we need to put a competitive team around you. And you know what the easiest way to do that is? It's to wait till all the dust settles on your offseason and you say, hey, Connor, we've signed these guys. We got this guy in the mix, blah, blah, blah. We cleared out this cap space. Bouchard is signed for this much. Okay. We know that next summer we have, let's call it $18 million in cap space. Connor, do you want all 18? And if Connor goes, yes, I deserve all 18. I'm the best player. I got to set the market in the league. Then you go, all right, here you go. Full no move, 18 mil. Yeah. Or is there a conversation of, Connor, will you take 16? Connor, do you want to defer money? Like, who knows how that could play out? Like, there's so many variables into it that, yes, it makes perfect sense that he's not going to sign July 1 right after midnight and hammer it up. So I'm not concerned. Connor doesn't seem concerned. None of you should be concerned. This should be the most lopsided poll we've ever done in the history of our YouTube chat, which is, will Connor McDavid sign this summer? So
I liked what Chell said. If you think we hate this shit, as fans, imagine how he feels.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Liam, I crunched the numbers
What
for
do we
you.
got?
So, Nathan McKinnon signed his extension September 22nd.
Okay.
That is
Just
not July.
Just before the season starts.
Leon Draisaitl, September 3rd.
Interesting.
Austin Matthews, August 23rd.
Also not a
Sidney
day in July.
Crosby, September 16th.
Interesting.
Nikita Kucherov, July 10th. That's the only one I could find.
He's Russian, doesn't
Yeah,
count.
it's a bit different.
And that's still a week.
Also,
But either way, 4 out of the big 5 I could think of.
Still not July 1st.
this little gold tag appeared in front of me today, and it's
that a
basically
sign?
all I can fidget with right now.
It's a golden ticket to
Yeah.
all your hopes and dreams, folks.
So anyways, if you wonder what I'm doing with my hands today, it's just playing with this little thing while I do the show. Anyways, let's keep sounds in the room going for Crappy Goat Distillery. If Connor McDavid being nice and calm about this extension doesn't calm you down, well, then maybe hearing Stan Bowman's thoughts on it will.
Well, Connor's the best player in the league, the most important player in the league. He's our captain. He's our leader. So certainly he's the number one priority. I think also listening to Connor's take on things, like he's earned the right for us to be respectful of his timing. Certainly we're eager to meet with him whenever he wants, but also understanding that he just went through a very, tough ending to the season. And so timing-wise, that's Connor's going to drive that process. But there's no question he's a pivotal player on our team, and not just what he does on the ice, but his leadership. I've had a chance to work with him now this year, and I've been just so impressed with how things you guys probably don't see, but what kind of a teammate he is, and he's incredibly important to our group, and whenever he's ready, we're gonna dive into that.
Connor McDavid's the hottest girl at the bar. We don't want to be too eager. We're gonna hang back, give her a couple what's ups. You take your time, finish talking to your friends. I'll get you a drink later. Is that how people do it? I haven't been single in a very long time.
Yeah, I never talk to girls at the bar.
Yeah, I am very unfamiliar with the concept, but that's how I imagine it would go if you saw a hot girl at the bar and you were single.
Something very similar, I would think.
Yeah, it probably plays out just like that. See, that's what we were talking about, pausing for effect, right?
Yeah,
let that point we just made really
Just
sink
sit.
into the viewers.
Yeah.
Stan Bowman's cool as a cucumber. He don't care.
He's done it before.
Kane,
Taves.
Keith,
Andrew Shaw.
Hossa, Brandon Bowleg.
That was a key one. Do you know one thing too? Actually, just on Bowman, one thing I like about his press conferences, that is a lot different from Ken Holland. He never talks about his time in Chicago unless it's brought up.
Wonder why.
On the player side of things, with like contracts and how he signed them, and how they did it, it feels two very different projects to him, and I appreciate that from him a lot more than I did Holland, where it's just like, well, back in my day in Detroit when salary cap didn't exist,
Yeah.
we
Got Brian Rafalski for a prayer. What?
We somehow got Pavel Datsyuk out of nowhere.
Yeah. Anyways, here's Stan Bowman talking about. We're done with the McDavid thing, right?
I'm good.
Okay, we're good. We're good. Also, Matt Larkin's joining us at 12:30.
240.
Mulek, I just walk up and go, please, 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 please. Mulek, also notably not single. So, Stan Bowman. Speaking of,
It's just a tweet, but here it is.
on the roster. The defense will have the least number of changes. I like how they played. The forwards and goalies is where we will have some changes. Stan Bowman. Bad thing to read if you're Calvin Pickard, because I feel like is there a point to trading Stu Skinner? Like, if you're going to go into next season with a new tandem, Calvin Pickard's $1 million, Stu Skinner's $2.6 million.
Yeah.
Is that $1.6 million in cap savings enough to sacrifice the upside of 26-year-old Stu Skinner? No.
I would agree.
The only way I think it makes sense, and this is a name that's being brought up, although it confuses the hell out of me, if you get a UPL, like a 26-year-old...
Being brought up
in the chat.
Oh.
And also you can fully bury Calvin Pickard and keep him as a third string, which is actually probably the smart thing to do, even if it's a little bit unfair to Calvin Pickard. But guaranteed money, he's getting his million no matter what.
Yeah.
But like if you go get a UPL at 4.75, or if you're going to get like a... And I'm not saying I even advocate for this, but like Gibbs, someone who's expensive, then maybe moving Skinner in a trade makes sense. But just dumping Skinner for the sake of being like, get out of here, and getting what? A 4th round pick for him? Goalies don't go for a whole heck of a lot, guys, or at least traditionally they don't. And I don't think there's going to be a big market for Stuart Skinner, considering what the narrative is around him. I keep Stuart Skinner. I find someone to run with him in tandem. I tell Calvin Pickard, I'm sorry, you got to go be in Baco and work with Ollie Rodrigue for a year. I'm keeping both goalies and upgrading. Like even Mulek, Demko. Like there is a case to say you can go after one of the more, in air quotes, injury-prone guys in a Thatcher Demko if you keep Pickard and get him through waivers and put him in the minors.
I would go for Demko.
I would go for Demko.
I don't think they can, because I just don't think Jim Rutherford would do that. Although they've traded with Calgary a few times.
3 times, I think.
Is it 3?
Zadorov, Lindholm, and... Jelena. I don't know.
Yeah, Jelena. That was a big one. It's an option. And I know we talked about...
Oh, Marcus Granlund for Hunter Shinkarik. I'm done.
I know we talked about... what's his name? Gibson, and how injury prone he is.
Yeah.
I think the difference is when Demko is healthy, he is top 5 goalie in the league. Maybe that's a stretch, but can get to that level.
Yep.
Gibson, I just don't see it as that. Also, too, he's openly come out and being like, I have no interest in being in a tandem.
Yeah,
So,
and with everything I've heard about Gibson, he might, if there is a world, and I know we are the Stuart Skinner fan club, so like you all probably take everything we say with a grain of salt, and you'll roll your eyes when I say this. But if there's a world where Stu Skinner bounces back next year and is really, really good, do you want John Gibson pouting on the bench?
No, you do not. I got some names for you.
People keep saying hips don't ever fully recover. Bro, we just watched John Klingberg.
Whose hips are bruised? Is that Demko's
Demko,
injury?
yeah.
Injury. Okay. So here's a couple of names of goalies who could be available or need a change of scenery. Gibson obviously being one. Just give me a yes or no. I'll just give you a few.
Okay.
Gibson.
No.
Philip Grubauer.
Oh, no.
Demko.
Yes.
Elvis Merzlikins.
No.
Arvid Soderblom. He's an RFA. He's 25.
Maybe Pyle.
This one's interesting. Laurent Brossoit. $3.5 million. 3.3 million. Is he still playing?
He was hurt all of last year.
Was he just hurt? If he's available, maybe that's a bit risky.
He played 23 games 2 years. He missed all of last season.
Okay, so he's not an option.
But his numbers are always so good when he plays.
He was like the best save percentage in the league. Like 2
but
years
he's 32.
Ago.
But he's a former Oil kid.
And a former Oiler.
Yes.
Binnington.
Have time for it, but I don't think it's realistic because of the cost.
Connor Ingram.
No, need more dependability.
Okay.
And the upside's not fully there. Like
He's
again,
close to
Demko,
$2 million.
Demko, I'm okay talking about like he's a risk availability wise because the upside is so tremendous,
Yeah.
and I think he's a guy who can like if he's healthy lead you to a Stanley Cup. But like Ingram, and Brossoit even, you're taking risk without that Stanley Cup pedigree upside.
Tristan Jarry.
No, unless they're doing something crazy for us.
Yeah, I would think so too. I had one more here. Let me see if I can just find his name quickly.
They're not trading Karel Vejmelka. They just signed him.
Yeah, they just signed him.
Dan Vladar, no.
No.
Jari needs a change of scenery. He also needs a new contract if I'm ever going to be interested in it.
His
If
contract's
Pittsburgh bought
big.
out Jari and he was like, I'll come play for $1 million, I mean, it's very far down my list of what I would want. But, like, the idea of Jari and Pickard compete to play with Skinner, it sounds gross, and the upside's not there, so I don't love it. But, like,
He's now 30 as well.
yeah, he is 30. Yeah, nah.
For people who don't know, Jari's contract is $5.375 million for 3 more years.
Jari retained for Kane. If they kept half of Jari, I'm just trying to do like a little pros and cons in my head. If they keep half of Jari, he's like $2.65 million. He's 30 years old. He has 3 more years left. If it doesn't work, you're burying him or you're buying him out and splitting the cost. It's not awful. Gets you out of Kane, so it would actually save you again $3 million in your goaltending. But there's just not like Luke makes a good name. Alex Lyon. Before I screw around with can you get Jari 50% retained? Will they keep on Merzlikins? I just go to Alex Lyon and say, do you want to come here for $1.5 million?
That was the last name on my list, so that makes sense. There you go.
I like Lyon. Do you like Lyon?
I like Lyon.
He's had good runs.
I just think,
is he Stolarz?
Okay, but if you get to the Cup Final next year, again, and you're looking at a similar situation where both goalies have played pretty well throughout the entire run. They've given you games where they have won you the game.
Yeah, you're right.
And then you're looking at Alex Lyon being like, go win me a Stanley Cup. Like, that just doesn't seem like you need to do anything.
He might just be Pickard.
I think he's better than Pickard.
He's better than Pickard.
But how much better? You know, like Swayman is an interesting name. Chell again
He's
said
so
it.
expensive.
He's expensive. He's got a long time left. Like, if that goes sideways, you're in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I really don't. I honestly have no idea what they're gonna do in the goaltending department. Like, maybe just getting Jake Allen on like a 2-year deal is a good idea. But again, like, I just don't see how like
if he's the
you're
only
just going this way.
If he's the only Jake Allen is better. He's better.
Then Pickard.
Better than Stu.
They're very close, at least.
Not as much upside, but Jake Allen, that prototype of goalie is exactly what I want. And I like within reason, obviously. Like everyone keeps saying Sorokin. They're not getting Ilya Sorokin, guys. I like Allen, but if Allen's the only viable free agent name and every team that needs a goalie's looking at him, are you paying $4.5 million for Jake Allen?
No.
I'm not either.
Like, who was it there? Luke again. How many goalies are true game-stealing goalies in Cup Finals? 5? Like, man, I said it the other day. There might be one. Right now.
Yeah.
Like, Vasilevsky, sure, they played against Florida, so that makes a big difference in maybe what he could have done. But, like, we've seen Hellebuck year after year just not show up.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what the answer is. I don't think Skinner's, like, that far away. I think he had a bad Cup Final this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was the reason you look at the Oilers and think, like, that's why they lost.
No.
But they clearly need to do something, maybe just trying to find someone, and that's why I listed off a few of those names. You just give them a change of scenery, and maybe that helps them. I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. I would not be shocked at all if they just went into training camp with 2 guys and waited to kind of see if things play out in the regular season where they can get someone like, say, a Mackenzie Blackwood-esque shows up.
That is not going to be a popular take.
No, it won't be. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a reality one.
Maybe. Did you say Larkin's here?
He is, and then he left.
Classic Larks.
Checking things out.
Call him Matt In and Out Larkin because he's always bouncing in and out. Well, then let's keep cruising along. Let's do a little rumor mill for our friends at Sherwood Power Sports and Marines. Summer is here. The off-season's here. You're riding a boat, got a motorcycle, ATV, side-by-side. Take advantage of their A-plus service department. They even offer door-to-door pickup as well, right in the heart of Sherwood Park, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Oh, so this is actually, we've never discussed this. Zenix is in. Goaltending coach. Maybe the Oilers
Who
just
is that goalie coach?
God damn it. Dumb.
Actually, something interesting that came out of the press conference today. Jim Matheson, who reported yesterday that Nugent Bowman had a broken hand throughout the final. Very impressive stuff by Nugent Bowman to recover from that and continue his work. Asked Bowman about Glenn Gulletson and if he had received, if Dallas had asked permission to talk to him and he said, I will not answer that question at this time. So that means yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
This is a totally different topic. I like the idea of Knobloch being able to hire his own guys.
I think Gulletson and Mark Stewart should both go. I think Coffey's good to stay. I think the blue line was good. I think special teams was such an inconsistent factor in the Oilers' playoff run, and both those guys run a special teams. So I would like to see Knobloch come in, pick a couple of his own guys. He actually said today, which I thought was very interesting, he said, he's like, we lost way too much personnel from our penalty kill the year before.
Yeah.
In the offseason.
Re-sign Cody Ceci.
Yes. I do think he was specifically talking about the forwards, but he addressed it and was like, we were just not close to good enough where we needed to be because of the personnel we lost. And he said the personnel on the penalty kill, I think more towards the regular season and the playoffs, was, he said, just not good enough.
Really quickly here, my only thing on that, I don't care who stays and who goes as long as it is Chris Knobloch's decision.
They said today too that Knobloch, Bowman's like, I want him here forever.
Knobloch?
Yeah. It's your water bottle.
Oh, it's my water bottle. That was a weird noise that no one watching the show would have heard. Okay, really quick, rumor mill, then we'll get to Larkin. Kane and Arvidsson are on Frank's trade targets board. Kane debuting in the 6th spot.
Congrats.
More likely than not, obviously, I think that Evander Kane's going to be in a new uniform next year.
Yeah.
What's interesting is when you look at the Marchment deal, it feels like there's actually going to be maybe a market potentially for a guy like Evander Kane.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that with our boy Matt Larkin in a second.
And there should be. He can play. He's obviously just got a bit of attitude to him.
And like, if there was ever a time where Evander Kane is going to be on his best behavior, it is going into a contract year where he is, again, if he acts up his NHL and plays bad, his NHL career might be done. Or he's going to be taking...
money is for sure,
Yeah. So,
I mean, he had a good playoffs until Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Then it was very, very...
And then it just fell off a cliff.
Totally.
But 12 points from a guy who's in the middle 6, all 5-on-5 scoring, I would assume. Not terrible.
Not terrible. But just not $5 million.
Not $5 million, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
Jonathan Willis with a good one. Kane and Marchment. Kane outproduces him actually and outscores him quite significantly. The cap hits are pretty similar. Kane has more injury history. Partial no trade clause reduces. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe got a 2nd round pick, but I might be a little biased in saying that. So on that note, let's go to the Star Mechanical guest line. It's Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more by visiting them online at starmechanical.ca. They've been in the Edmonton area for north of 20 years, and whatever your heating or cooling needs are, Star Mechanical can help you out. As we get to our good friend Matt Larkin from dailyfaceoff.com. Matt Larkin, how is beautiful Toronto today?
It actually is beautiful right now. It's sunny and warm, and I want to say the calm before the storm. It feels like the off-season machine is winding up right now, and I'm excited. It's a fun time of year.
Have you been out to any Blue Jays games yet this year?
You know what's funny? Even though I'm a huge fan, I kind of took a prove-it philosophy with Shatkins this year. So they finally earned their way back into my good graces with their play. I'm going to 2 games in July, but they will be my first of the year.
I love it. I love it. It sounds beautiful in Toronto. Sounds like Connor McDavid would hate it. The Connor McDavid discourse from the last 24 hours has been relatively annoying because I think it's a lot of people making a big deal out of a pretty mild quote. But where do you come out on what McDavid had to say, or I guess didn't say yesterday?
So, okay, if 10 is, oh my God, panic, Steve Carell gif, it's happening, and 1 is what you're saying is no, this is nothing, I'm like a 2.5 or a 3, okay? Yeah. I know our buddy Zach Lang, he was tweeting a comparison to comments made by Leon Draisaitl a year ago. There's a big difference, though. It's apples to oranges. Cologne, Germany does not have an NHL team in a market that features all of Connor McDavid's family and close friends and all that kind of stuff. So there is a temptation theoretically out there. And I do think McDavid, either the wording was very deliberate, leaving that door open, or he made a mistake when he talked about needing to do what's best for me. That said, he also talked about needing to get a Bouchard deal done and unfinished business. So to me, no matter what happens, I still think a worst case scenario, again, apocalypse, doom scenario, is still Connor McDavid playing for the Edmonton Oilers next season. The question for you guys as Oilers fans is, what do you do if he goes into next year without a contract? Are you okay with treating Connor McDavid as an own rental? Or do you need a deal done by the end of the summer to feel good? I just don't see any crazy scenario in which there's a trade. Nothing like that. It's ridiculous. Anyone throwing that out there, come on, clickbait city. But I still think there's a non-zero chance that McDavid does not sign this summer and wants to keep his options open, wants to see what happens with his team next year. If they take another swing, what if they take another step back? Because if I remember his wording correctly, he said angry, not sad this time, right? At the result.
Yeah.
So that's where I land.
Some of that might be anger at himself, though, because he didn't play his best hockey in the Cup Final. But the other thing, too, that we kind of know about Connor McDavid, he hates the media attention. He hates when the stories are about him and all that. So I look at it like, is Connor McDavid going to want to play a season where every road building he goes into, he is the road beat reporters going, so, like, what do you think about your future? I don't think he's going to want that. And, like, even to the idea of him potentially signing a short-term deal, I talked about this today with Frank, like, if you're Connor McDavid, he hates the noise. He hates having to do all this. He's going to sign an 8-year deal. And guess what? If after year 2 of the deal, he goes, oh, I'm miserable here and we're not going in the right direction. If any player in the world can just go, hey, trade me, you listen if Connor McDavid tells you to trade him. Like, that's where I'm like, he would still have ultimate control and he just signs an 8-year extension and then it's not a story, right?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that is the most likely scenario. And to me, what's going to be interesting, because again, I do predict if I have to go to a casino and place a bet or a sports book, you know what I'm talking about. If I'm placing a bet right now, I will say Connor McDavid, 8-year deal, Oilers. I'm curious what the AAV is going to be because we have the cap going up to 95.5. Next year, 104. The year after that, 113. So what does the number start with for Connor McDavid? To me, I think he took a haircut at 12.5 on the first deal. I don't think he needs to this time. I think he's earned the right to be paid what he's worth. And to me, even 16 million would be below market value, factoring in the rising cap. So what does the number start with? What do you guys think?
But that also might be why he says, like, let's be patient, see how it plays out. It might be why the Oilers are like, we're good, because, again, he might want to see what moves get made. And if the Oilers sit there and go, hey, Connor, if you take 16 mil, look what we think we can do next summer. Look who we think we can sign, all of this stuff. Because the reality is there's no negotiation here. If Connor McDavid walks into Stan Bowman's office and says 20 or I don't sign, then Stan Bowman goes, okay, and gives him 20. I think it'll be like 17.5 on an 8-year deal. What's more curious to me is there any part of Connor with all the endorsement money, everything he has, is he interested in doing a deferred money thing and really being able to sit there and go, look what I'm doing to help this team win?
I think maybe. I mean, if we look at the personality he's shown throughout his career and how dedicated he is to winning, it's very similar to Sidney Crosby, who took less money pretty much every contract he's ever signed. If there's anyone who's going to follow those footsteps, I do think it's McDavid. So it's a really good point because he's someone that I think puts winning above all else. Like you said, he's got so many other things going on, endorsements. I think he can afford a deferred salary contract. So I think he's a candidate for it. It's a really good point.
I think, too, you mentioned Crosby. Like, there was this whole narrative around the Four Nations that, like, McDavid learned a lot from Crosby of, like, how to be more relaxed around playoff time and stuff like that and, like, stressful time. So I do wonder on that. But last time we had you on, we talked about state tax. And I've thought about this quite a lot recently. Do you think LTIR in the playoffs is more of a problem than what a state tax would be? And the reason I bring that up is in Game 6, the Florida Panthers, the lineup that they iced was $93 million, where the Oilers lined up iced a team that was $73 million. So obviously Florida, and they didn't do anything wrong, like they played by the rules. But now I feel like that is becoming more of the problem in the NHL rather than what a state tax would be. Yeah,
it's tough. Part of me agrees because it's been a problem for longer, right? Like the first example I can think of was Patrick Kane when he broke his collarbone, and then you had Kucherov, Mark Stone. But the difference is, theoretically, all 32 teams can use LTIR, whereas how many markets in the NHL have the tax advantage, right? So that's why I think the tax advantage is coming to the forefront. And, you know, people like to debate it on Twitter because everything you say on Twitter is treated as an extreme. So just me pointing out an advantage is perceived as me saying that, oh, the Panthers and Lightning had no ingenuity whatsoever. They've won the Stanley Cups entirely based on tax, which is not what I'm friggin' saying. It's not that simple. It's obviously way more nuanced than that. But to me, even people pointing out, because I said Matt Duchene, 82-point player signing for $4.5 million. Come on. Yes, I know he's still getting paid from the Predators, but come on. It's ridiculous to imply that there's no advantage there. Let's be serious.
Yeah, here's where I kind of came out today with Frank on it. The line I used was, because we were talking about how, like, you look at Florida, Bennett for Emil Heineman in a second, Gustav Forsling off waivers, Rodriguez picked up off the scrap pile, like Bobrovsky even, right? Like, that's a guy who went through 2 organizations where I know he got the massive ticket, but he lands in Florida. I said the state tax advantage is not making these teams Stanley Cup contenders, but it's helping them stay Stanley Cup contenders. Like even Carter Verhaeghe, right? Did state income tax have anything to do with them being like, whoa, that guy is crazy undervalued and he can play top 6? No, that's good pro scouting and all that. Is state income tax why he gets to stick around for $7 million a year and didn't sign for $9 million somewhere else? Yup.
Yes, that's bang on. Sam Reinhart as well. It's about keeping the players. It's not necessarily wooing the players. And just you look at every element of the market, right? So the tax advantage is one more little extra thing. The fact that you have relative anonymity, aside from, the 1 week blip that the Panthers are getting now where they're getting a lot of attention, you can go out to the beach. And I remember a conversation I had with Sam Bennett 2 years ago. It was a phone interview. And I was asking him if he's settling in and getting used to the life in Florida. And do you use the beach during the season as a getaway? And he pauses and he goes, oh yeah. And he says it like that. And you could just hear the love he has for that market in his voice. And it's hard to compete with that. The market has so many advantages. Tax is just one of them. I acknowledge that. But it does feel like they have everything going for them right now, and it's going to be hard to topple them. We have something coming out on Daily Faceoff tomorrow, offensively early Stanley Cup picks before the offseason. And at least one of the panel picks the Panthers to three-peat. I get it. They just have so much in their corner right now.
Yeah.
What do you make of Evander Kane, number 6 on the trade targets list today by Frank? What do you make of his market? And do you think it could be something similar to what Dallas got for Mason Marchment?
I think that Marchment is perceived to have more upside. He's also quite a bit younger. There aren't the same potential dressing room headaches as well. So I don't think Kane would fetch as much, especially because of from a leverage perspective. I think it's perceived as doing the Oilers a favor to take him right now, even though he was effective in spurts in the playoffs. I think we all understand who Kane is at this stage of his career and what the pros and cons are. In terms of who could be the market, the good news is because he's entering the final year of his deal, that opens up a lot more possibilities. You could have a team that isn't a contender offer to take him on, and maybe he's someone you can flip at the trade deadline to someone who needs sandpaper. And if he were to go to a contender, to me, it's always a delicate exercise with Evander Kane because you have to be sure that he's going to fit into your dressing room culture and not disrupt things. So he'd need to go to a strong room that already has winners. So an example would be like if they can make the money work, the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's a team that could use Evander Kane because the Panthers are so tough. Someone that could help them stand up to the Panthers and who would be joining a room full of winners and experienced people. I think he could jive well in that type of environment. I know the cap for Tampa wouldn't necessarily work, but that's just an example. Colorado, teams like that, they're capped out, but just teams that have winners, guys with Stanley Cup rings, and he can be more of a support player coming in as opposed to someone who rocks the boat. And we know, as you guys implied as well, Evander Kane, it's always sunny at the beginning. He comes in, every team he's ever played for, it's always a strong start when he joins, and he has the novelty and he hasn't worn out his welcome. So, especially on a one-year deal, I don't think it's a massive concern, the fit.
I'll just quickly, a little breaking news. Maverick Bourque, 1 year, $950K with the Dallas Stars. That's, I thought he was a prime offer sheet guy. It feels like actually he's passing up on some significant coin here to stick with Dallas.
Yeah, that's fascinating because I agree. I think he was a classic offer sheet candidate. Dallas is just absolutely jammed against the cap, very vulnerable. To me, that reminds me of, remember Kevin Labanc a couple years ago when it was sort of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He took that really team-friendly deal, then he got another one later. And to me, like, I feel like the Bourque camp should have had more leverage, even though he didn't obviously get that big of a chunk of the playing time pie. Just the situation Dallas is in, I'm a little surprised that Bourque took that.
The other news from this morning, Jonathan Toews is going to the Winnipeg Jets. And at first I'm like, what a feel-good story. Jonathan Toews going back to his home province and trying to, prove he still got it, go out on his own terms, help the Jets win. And then I see that if they make the playoffs and he plays 60 games, this is a $5.25 million deal. And I'm like, boy, Jonathan Toews did not give them the hometown discount I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I think it's fair. You have to... Because one, there's still a market for him just because of the cachet, the history, future Hall of Famer. So to be competitive, you add in that incentive. I get it. But also, it's the right way to go. You can't give him that and just straight up money right off the bat because you don't know how much he's going to play. And I think it's an exciting situation to see him going home. He's a Manitoba boy. He's an off-season fisherman, all that kind of fun stuff, right? So it's a great homecoming. But people have to understand you have to temper your expectations. It's one thing to be Gabriel Landeskog when you're 29, coming back at 32, missing 3 years. Jonathan Toews is 37 now. There's a big difference between 32 and 37 in terms of how the body ages for a pro athlete. And to me, especially, he's had some alternative medicine done to try and figure out the immune disease that he has, right? But I think if you get a 30-point season, then a lot of face-off wins from Jonathan Toews, and he helps you replace Adam Lowry while you're waiting for him to come back from hip surgery, that alone is a win. So I don't think you can expect too much if you're Jets fans. That said, of course, he brings great leadership and great intangibles, and that's a team that could use someone to help them get over the hump.
Looking at Frank. Oh, sorry, you got something?
I just don't know how teams get themselves into this situation. And then they sit here, and I know we talked about it, but it's like, but the state tax in other places. It's like, you're paying him $5 million. He hasn't played for a season. Like even like the Oilers this year with John Klingberg, like you get up to $1.8 million with that guy. A couple of years ago, they paid Corey Perry an extra, what was it, $500,000 or something like that. And it's like, that guy had one goal in the playoffs, and it's because Connor McDavid made the greatest play of his career for him to get that goal. And it's like, how do you not see what's playing out here?
Like Florida, if Florida was doing something like a Toews deal, Tampa Bay as well, they would never, and part of it's income tax, part of it's that they're smart, but like they would never give $5 million to a guy like Toews. Like it's, again, I guess Winnipeg has the space too, so maybe we're making a mountain out of a molehill here, but...
It's also just what you have to do to be competitive, right? So what do Winnipeg and Edmonton have in common? They are the most remote markets, like geographically in the NHL, and the two coldest markets in the NHL, right? So to woo a player, and this is just like the advantages of geography. It takes more to woo a free agent in those markets for that reason.
Yeah, that's fair. One of the other new names on Frank's board is Noah Dobson, which is crazy. I mean, 25 on the list, so he's obviously lower down. Frank's saying the Dobson camp wanted to start negotiations at $11 million, which is not to say he's going to get paid 11, but that's at least the ballpark he thinks he could be in. I don't know where Matthew Darche goes with the New York Islanders. I feel like trading Noah Dobson because you have Matthew Schaefer coming is still maybe a mistake.
It's funny. I like it. I like the idea because to me, and again, if there are any Islander fans watching right now, I know I've been really hard on them the last couple of years, and you think I hate your team. I don't hate your team. I just hate the way they've been managed, just living in this mid zone forever, constantly on the playoff bubble. I think this is a team that needs to start over. And Noah Dobson, 25, he's in his prime, but I think the Islanders need to go scorched earth. And I love the idea of turning over a new leaf. You have the first overall pick getting Matthew Schaefer. You have Cole Yzerman. You traded for Cal Ritchie. What could you get for Noah Dobson? Like, let's say, for example, the Boston Bruins, they're a team that's been linked to him. Imagine you get the Bruins top 10 pick as well, and you start building around like a really exciting, good young group of prospects. You sell Noah Dobson at the absolute peak of his value. I kind of like it just for where the Islanders are in their trajectory, and it's not that often that a right shot defenseman in his prime becomes available, so they'll be able to get a very, very nice return for him if they do it. So I don't know, I'm all for it. I think it's exciting. But
then if they're gonna do that, they need to just be fully in on like, we suck the next 3 years. Because if they're gonna like, okay, let's do this, and then let's like extend Anders Lee, and it's like no more mushy middle, I guess, to your point, and I do agree with that.
Yes, and the hope is Lou Lamoriello is out of the picture. You're bringing in a new GM, and usually when a GM's at the start of his tenure, the runway is the longest it's ever going to be. So the fan base should have the most patience it's ever going to have. And if there's ever a time to be starting from the beginning, this is it, the day you walk in the door. So I think this is a window. Yes, you have Matt Barzal. Yes, you have Bo Horvat. But again, I don't know. And I know it's hard. it's easy to be sort of video game GM and say, no, trade every veteran you have and get every pick you have. I know it's not that simple, but I think the Islanders are a specific case of a team that's been stuck in neutral for so long, and they finally showed some signs of understanding it this year when they made the trade. They didn't re-sign Brock Nelson. They traded him. They got a really good prospect for him. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, Islanders, you did it. I'm so proud of you. I feel like as a parent, like you finally did it. So I don't know. I think this is the perfect time to do it, to start thinking that way.
Okay, last one, because it came in the chat, and someone goes, LMAO, he isn't worth more than Makar. We need to rewire our brains, everybody. No more flat cap. Everyone's getting paid more than everybody. There's no more bent. Like, Donato's getting $4 million, Frederick's getting 3.8. This summer is going to be the summer of sticker shock for RFAs, for UFAs, for everyone. Because guess what? If we are sitting here as fans and GMs are sitting there going, cap goes up, let's go long-term with guys so their value later, agents are also smart enough to be like, oh yeah, we should ask for more money then.
Yes, of course. And for one, Dobson's not going to get 11 because I think his value came down this year. He didn't even make Team Canada, right? He was hurt. He's not going to get 11. But regardless, you're totally right. It's like, is Elias Pettersson a better player than Jack Eichel? No, but Jack Eichel signed his deal years ago to get $10 million a year. It's ridiculous. You can't compare contracts signed years ago to contracts signed today, especially when, like I said before, I think I said it last week, like the increase this summer is the biggest of all time in the cap era, $7.5 million. Next year is going to break that record. It's going to be an even bigger increase, and the same the year after. So you have to start redefining what a deal is, what a good deal is, what a bad deal is when looking at players' AAVs.
Speaking of Eichel, he's also heading into a contract year. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting. To me, he seems like someone who's going to re-sign because Vegas is another one of those markets that it's funny. Vegas might be ruthless with its own players, but the players don't seem to want out when they're in Vegas, right? I think perception has finally changed. It's been long enough. This franchise has existed long enough. People understand there are good neighborhoods that are not like, it's not like you're sending your kids to school on the strip. Like they are legitimately, which would be pretty funny, by the way. They're actually legitimately really nice neighborhoods out there where people have built communities, families, all that kind of stuff. You have the tax advantages in Nevada as well. You have a team that is hell bent on winning. So there's just so much to keep a player there that I predict Eichel will resign.
Yeah, I think he ultimately will too, but a fun storyline to be like, man, what if Boston were to call him up and be like, hey, let's just jump this thing a year here. You want our top 5 pick? What else do you want? It would be an anti-Vegas move of all anti-Vegas moves. I think what's more likely is that they just signed Mitch Marner, but that's a whole different conversation. Matt, appreciate your time. You can read his work at dailyfaceoff.com. Appreciate you popping on. We'll do this again soon.
Thanks, boys. Enjoy the weekend.
See ya.
It is the weekend, Liam. Matt Larkin on the Star Mechanical guest line. He's also brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, where you can get a custom ring built and delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece program. You can also apply for a Charm Diamond Flexity card today and get approved for 0 interest financing on your purchase in minutes. Let's keep humming along with the show. Let's do a Short for Giant question for our friends at Guess Who? Short for the Giant. Nation Valet service is available for anyone, even if you didn't purchase your vehicle with Short Ford. Even if you don't drive a Ford, they will drive, pick up your car, do the routine maintenance, drive right back to you, whether you're at home, at the office, wherever. It's easy. It works. Yes, like snapping your fingers, Liam. Here's what we're doing for the Giant question. The old name-by-name breakdown of Frank's trade targets.
There we go.
We'll go through the names. We'll say if we're interested in them or not. You gotta say 2 words. You can, or like 2 things.
I'm interested.
You either say interested, realistic, interested, not realistic, not interested. Those are your 3 options. Okay.
Okay, I think so. So you want me to do it?
Well, what about JJ Paterka?
Interested, realistic.
I'll say interested, not realistic. Okay. Marco Rossi, interested, not realistic. Actually, not interested. Not interested. I'm good. He's too small.
I would say interested, not realistic.
Bowen Byram.
Not interested, not realistic.
Yeah, not interested. Don't think they're good trade partners. Keandre Miller, not interested based on what we heard Bowman say today. He likes the blue line.
Yeah.
Jonathan Marchessault.
Not interested, not realistic. They want to get younger and faster.
If he comes over for free or if it's Kane for Marchessault, I'm interested.
I'm not.
You wouldn't do Kane for Marchessault?
The contract is too long. You need flexibility down the road. If you're signing Frederick to this long-term deal, you can't have Marchessault on the deal too.
Fair. Evander Kane. Rasmus Anderson.
Not interested, not realistic.
Interested, not realistic. JG Peugeot, not interested.
I would say interested. He's a very good centerman. I just don't think it's a realistic fit.
$5 million, even if it's retained, 2.5. Blah.
It's not realistic.
Yeah.
He only has 1 year left, though.
I know, but I don't even like him at $2.5 million. I'd just go sign Nick Bukestad.
I do. I think he's a killer in a dot. But I wouldn't. I don't think it's realistic.
John Gibson. Maybe pal.
I don't think it's realistic.
See how many more options I've added? Maybe pal.
I think it's interesting. I would say interested because I think you need to be. I'm not interested. I don't know where I'm at. I think the others will look. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
I just don't think he's interested.
Charlie Coyle.
No.
Not interested. Next board. Rights to Isaac Howard. Interested, not realistic.
Not realistic. Unless you trade McDavid to Tampa. Okay. I went through this in my head yesterday because it was the only team that's been brought up outside of Toronto. And this is why it's not realistic McDavid goes there. You'd need Braden Point.
Yes.
Isaac Howard would obviously have to be in the trade too.
Point, Hagel, Isaac Howard, and 3 first-round picks.
I would think they would maybe want a defenseman, but like Hagel, sure, like Eric Cernak or whatever his name is.
Sure,
like
Cernak.
someone like that. It's like, okay, so you just plucked 2 solid players off their team. You probably get a lower-end guy in there too. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But I like Isaac Howard.
Vlad Tarasenko. Nope.
No.
Eric Carlson.
No.
No. Brian Rust. If you don't like Marchessault, you don't like
probably
Rust.
not. What's his contract?
3 more years, 5.125.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Matthias Samuelsson.
No.
If he gets bought out, yes.
Yes.
Connor Murphy. No.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. There was a time.
There was a moment in time.
We went through our Connor Murphy phase. Sam Girard.
No.
Matthias Machelli.
Somewhat, I would say interested. I don't think it's unrealistic either.
Interested because he's young at 24.
Brings you a bit of speed.
If they
3.4 million.
Evander came from Matthias Machelli.
Yes.
All right.
How tall is he?
Victor Arvidsson from Matthias Machelli?
Yes.
But remember, he's...
Ooh, that is an interesting one because that feels a little bit more realistic.
I would do... Yeah?
Similar style.
You get younger. Utah gets older. You probably have to attach something to that.
He only had 18 points last season, but again...
How tall is he?
He's 5'11". So he's probably 5'9".
Maybe he's like a pit bull. Morgan Riley, no.
No.
Yeah. Carson Soucy, no. In another life.
Well, a few years ago, we were there.
Yeah, but we met someone else. They're much better.
Thanks, Jake Wallen.
Jamie Alexiak, same thing in a past
Great
life.
player. Love Jake Wallen. Jamie Alexiak, but you're in my past now.
Yep. Ilya Labushkin.
Not a chance.
Nope. Elvis Merzlikins, no.
I'm interested.
Noah Dobson, no, because it would cost Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, you already have Noah Dobson at home.
This next one's interesting. Lucas Reichel.
Interested.
Let's Google him. Lucas Reichel, German. Someone pointed it out in the chat. They're like, hey, he's German. I mean, that famously worked well when we got Dominic Cahoon.
That turned out, yeah.
He scored 8 goals in 70 games last year. He's 6 feet, 23 years old. I mean, like...
I'm out.
Are they
out. I have Vasily Podkolzin.
Are they just giving him to us? If he's free, I'll take him.
Yeah, I agree. If he's a 4th-round pick like Podkolzin, I'm in.
Pavel Zacha or Morgan Geekie?
I'll say Geekie.
26 years old. Yeah, maybe Geekie.
Zacha's not for me. I don't know. I feel like he's a good player, but always the guy is like, well, if this guy finally shows up, he'll be great. Geekie's the right shot as well. David
Kampf. I don't want to have to say that name so much.
No, I'm out. I don't want him.
How much does he make? Oh my God, he makes 2.4. I'm out. Damon Severson.
No.
If they're taking Nurse, but that's an unrealistic trade. So unrealistic. Thatcher Demko, 30.
I'm in. And I also think I'll say somewhat realistic. I think there's a chance Jim Rutherford, quite frankly, does not care what team he trades him to. And he's just like, we need the value, and I need to justify Kevin Lankinen.
I think there's a world where Jim Rutherford just doesn't care and sentence.
Yeah. He's not the GM there, by the way.
No.
Many people will believe he is. He is not.
Yeah. There were 5 more names at the end. Nick Leddy, no. Martin Necas, no. Not realistic. Rights to Mitch Marner? Jason Robertson, discussed. Elias Pettersson, no thanks. Perfect.
Pedersen's such an interesting case. If he was still on his $8 million deal for even like 2 more years.
He's interesting because he made the decision at a young age to just bick it and go bald. That takes courage.
That's when it turned for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't hate Elias Pettersson. Again, I think it's one of those situations where, like, if things were different, like if he went to a different environment, I think he would be fine.
Yep.
I think that Vancouver room was maybe still a little bit. It was just so broken that he just couldn't handle it.
Yep.
Maybe you worry about that guy in the playoffs, but he does have a history of being decent in the postseason. I know it was a bubble year, so a bit different. But again, Brian Putt, he is a 100-point scorer.
Decent point.
He's only 26.
Decent point.
You talk about needing a star. He's star power, for sure.
He is star power.
$11.6 million, though. That's a lot of money.
We got 2 more things we still need to get to today.
Damn.
Daily bets for Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, must be 19 or older. Luke also asked in the chat, Tyler, how's your ribbon? It's going perfectly. I have it into a little star right now, sitting in between all my fingers. You can barely even see it.
You have been fidgeting. I thought your hands were shaking before.
Nope. Bet365. They have odds up for next year's regular season awards.
Already.
Rocket Richard Trophy, Leon Draisaitl, plus 290. He's your favorite. Matthews next to plus 400. I might buy on an Austin Matthews bounce back.
That's where I would go.
Yeah, plus 400 is a good price there. Calder Trophy. There is an Oiler here somewhere.
Matthews what?
It's basically Demidov versus the field. But yes,
Demidov is still
plus 160.
He's up the grips.
Yeah, Matt Savoy's 50-1 to win the Calder next year.
I will say, don't expect Schaefer to win. He
probably won't
have
even
the offensive upside.
Probably won't be in the NHL next year.
If he goes to the Islanders and they do trade Dobson, maybe. But he also missed a full year of junior.
Connor McDavid is the favorite to win the Hart, plus 200. Where is our boy for the Jack Adams? Chris Knobloch, 50-1. He's almost dead last on the board.
What the fuck? It is difficult.
Only Carberry and Berube are below him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's
Well.
tied with Paul Maurice, Rod Brindamore, and Bruce Cassidy, though.
Okay, but the others run the table next year. They win the President's Trophy.
Those guys, yeah, maybe.
Like, I feel like you have to look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that was great. Because they were third in their division last year.
Evan Bouchard, 7th on Norris Trophy board.
Who's won?
Makar, Hughes, Werenski, Dahlin, Fox, Yossi, Bouch.
Fox, give me a break.
Stuart Skinner, 200-1 to win the Vezina. And you all want to trade him. And, yeah, that's it. So there's your awards.
Any, like, player props yet?
No player props
I have to dabble in that this year because I went back and looked and I got all of them right at the start of the season. And I just
You can find value. Shout out Boone Jenner.
Shout out Boone Jenner. I had Celebrini to get over 60 points. I think he finished with like 63.
I bet you Demidov's going to be like 52.5 and I'll hammer it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I had Fantilli over 50 points and over 20 goals, hit both. Yeah, well, I didn't do it. They hit. I just didn't hit them.
Okay, quick little edit.
We have a game 7 in the NBA.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up this weekend.
We do on
And
Sunday.
the Saudis didn't win.
Yeah,
Lost
Liam.
1-0.
Last time we bet on the Saudis.
Yeah, till next time.
All right, let's wrap up with a little what's trending. We'll do it for our friends at Litco Law. When employers cross the line, Litco Law is here to referee, blow the whistle. If you've been fired without cause, pushed out of your job, or treated unfairly at work, a good employment lawyer can help. Call for backup so you can defend your rights and make sure you get what you're owed. Go to litcolaw.com and book your free consult today. You can find out if you have a claim in minutes. Take as much time as you need to get answers and understand your options because your hard work deserves what's fair. Level the playing field. Visit litcolaw.com. All right. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about it at the end because I didn't want to make it a big thing because, quite frankly, I barely care about it.
Oh.
Doing the Evan Rodriguez doing the fuck McDavid chant at a bar.
Oh, is that him?
Yeah.
I've not been
And
watching.
then Matt Tkachuk grabbing the mic and going, Connor McDavid who? First off, you're supposed to say Connor Mick who? Get it together, Matt. If the Oilers won the Stanley Cup, do you think they would even care a little bit about anyone on the Panthers?
I don't think their best players would be the ones on the mics. Let's say that much.
No.
And I like
Darnell Nurse would have a field day on Matthew Tkachuk. Let's be real
Maybe,
here.
but
Let's be real.
Evander Kane, maybe.
Darnell would.
I think the Oilers would be busy celebrating themselves, not being like, oh, we beat the Panthers.
I don't think the Oilers have those kind of personalities in their superstars. Like, you wouldn't see Draisaitl, Bouchard, McDavid up there being like, let's get a fuck the Panthers chant.
Nuge leading a fuck the Panthers.
Yeah, like they're a bit different vibed guys. I think like I just don't see it being like that because I don't remember it being like that last season. But also too, there was that report from James Duthie that like
it got personal.
It got very personal. So we'll see. I don't think it's anything too crazy. Evan Rodriguez was also the guy who did he score a goal in the series?
I don't think so.
Oh no, he did. He scored the 6th goal when they blew us out. So it's like, come on, man, like stuff like that. I just don't.
Anyways,
think about it. Sam Bennett being on the mic being like, I ain't leaving. I
and
saw a tweet.
he doesn't have a contract.
I think it was Justin Braun being like, man, if you're the agent, like you lost all your leverage. But hey, he's probably already signed.
Yeah, Brad Marchand's been like kind of funny. I can admit that.
Yeah,
him going on his Instagram stories and thanking every team. That was good. That's good humor.
That is. I can't believe how good he was.
I
can't believe it.
Here's what I'll say. Some team's going to give him $9 million this offseason.
And that'll be the worst contract in the league.
Look at all these. Thanks, Buffalo. Thanks, Flames. Oilers weren't tagged in this once. Shout out. Thanks, Devils.
At least he didn't tag us in the Kulikov one.
Yeah, that could have been bad. Yeah, this was really good. Thanks, Blackhawks. Thanks, Blue Jackets. Thanks, Jets. Although Maurice quit. Oh, well. Oh, also, wait. Oh, yeah, Mr. Waivers. Go back to the one where he goes, thanks, Dale Talon.
I thought that too. Who was in that picture?
So he tagged a random person named Dale Talon who just has a foot fetish.
Oh, God. So that is Barkov, Listerainen. Oh, no. Lundell and Ekblad, I think. Or maybe it is Listerainen.
Yeah, he tagged this at Dale Talon account, who's a guy named Bob Thomas, who literally just follows feet accounts.
Hell yeah.
So shout out to Brad Marchand for that. I don't follow any of them if you want to see proof.
It is funny after Stanley Cups.
Just send that over in the chat for research purposes.
What did you say the name was?
Just players who go to free agency, like Ekblad and Marchand, if they don't stay, like they might be two of the worst contracts signed this summer.
Yep.
Because they will get overpaid. I'm not saying they're bad players.
No.
But like paying Brad Marchand at 37 years old, anything more than $8 million for an extended period of time
mistake
is crazy.
Yeah.
He was not good in the regular season. And then he showed up. I'm not saying he didn't. He obviously did. But that is nuts.
Yep. All right. Let's wrap up there. New episode of Oilers Nation Radio coming your way later on this afternoon. Mulek, send me that link so I know not to click on that page. We got you, buddy. Okay, that's a wrap on today's show. What are you doing this weekend?
Waiting for a couch.
You're going to a garden party?
Garden party tomorrow, River Rocks tonight, Elks last night. Summer Boards is alive and well.
That's good.
I got my evenings and weekends back.
Tomorrow's Amber's bridal shower. I don't know what they do with those things, but I'm just going golfing, obviously.
Stuff.
Yeah, just bride stuff. But I'm golfing twice this weekend, actually. 3 rounds in 4 days. Summer of Tyler. That's all that's about. I just golf all the time. Okay. Next week, free agency talk, draft talk a little bit, I guess. Maybe we'll have Steven Ellis on just because he's fun to talk to. Not that we have like Oilers draft questions for him.
Who are they taking in the 3rd round?
Ooh.
83rd, I think, is their
Maybe
first
they'll get a pick from an Evander Kane trade.
Whoa.
Do you think the Oilers make a trade by the time we hit the air Monday? I'll say no.
No, but by the draft, yes.
All right, I like that. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate all you guys who stick around even when there's no games. We have a lot of off-season stuff to discuss. Podcast listeners, have a great weekend. YouTube chat, have a great weekend. We'll be right back here Monday, noon Mountain. Oil up.